Page 6, Smile. Very famous melody by Charlie Chaplin. It's in common time or 4/4 time. Got one flat in the key signature, so it's either F major or D minor. And if you look at the end, we're ending on an F chord. So I'm guessing this is an F major. All the B's are going to be flat. I'm going to take it one hand at a time because we got some interesting things going on here. Right hand starts third finger here, puts it here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now they want third finger on the E. They say new hand positions where you scrunch up a little bit. Right now I want to connect all the notes except for rests. We don't play rests, but here. 2. 1, 2. 1. Now, second line, second measure, they want the thumb on the E, so we're going to cross the thumb under. So we changed 1, 2. Don't forget the B flat, it's in the key signature. F sharp. Now again, cross the thumb under. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Now it's D flat. We're staying in the same position as the little finger. And then page 7 on the first line, second measure. They want the fourth finger on the B flat, so you scrunch up a little bit. And the next measure, they want the fourth finger on the G. This allows us to easily play everything connected, or legato. And then we have a rest, we can lift up. You're not moving, you're just lifting up. And that sort of is the same thing until you get to the bottom. Let's start at the bottom. Second measure, it's a G here. 1, 2, 3. Now, this is the tricky part. We got two voices going on. The whole note, which is tied to a dotted half note, you're just going to hold it down for the 7 counts. Not going to play it again. And then you got this bottom voice. You see the stems going down. The 1, the D flat and E flat. 2 and 3 and 4. The only 8th notes we get in the piece is here at the end. So it's 1 and 2. So forth. But they have a 3-5 in front of the whole note. Well, this book calls it a shift technique. It's a cultural thing, I guess. I call it a finger substitution. You're going to play the F, the whole note, with third finger. And then while you're holding it down, you're going to put fifth finger on it. You substitute one finger for another. They call it shifting. It enables you to play it legato. And I do a lot of finger substitutions in piano. Those organ players do a lot of them too. But you don't have to use fifth finger. You can use fourth finger if you like, because fourth finger you just come across here. Fifth finger you can't come on top, you got to come underneath. It's up to you on which one you use. And then while you're holding it down, they want you to use thumb here. If you use fifth finger, you can use second finger if you want. The point is, you just got to hold the F down. Now if you use fourth finger, then you use thumb. So which finger you use for the whole note is up to you and your teacher, but I don't care which. I'll probably use fourth because it's easier for me to go 3 to 4 than it is 3 to 5. I'll do either one, and then I can do that. Here. Left hand, we have a neat thing they call a chord pyramid. They're just building it up. You just hold, the notes are tied. You hold the F down, then hold the A down, it's tied. So you're just building it up. This type of pattern where you're holding notes down, because normally you wouldn't hold them down, you just play it. And then you would use the damper pedal to hold the note out. So because that's what the pedal does. Well, this is commonly called finger pedaling. We're using the fingers to do what we would do with the pedal, and that is hold the note out. So rather than just playing, we hold them down, and they all hold down, which is what the pedal would do. And this all over here is what we're doing here in the left hand. We're just doing this. And then you got the F chord, second line, now it's just the A and the C. here, and the next line is 3 B natural there, and then 4-2 B flat. You notice the flat sign, the second line, third measure. The flat sign's in parentheses. Well, that's called a courtesy sign. They don't need the flat sign there at all. It's a flat anyway because it's in the key signature. But they're giving it to you because you just had a B natural, and they're telling you, by the way, this is a B flat. It's really nice to do if you're into arranging or writing music yourself. You want to be really clear as to the intentions. So if there's a possibility that the person reading your music might misinterpret it, put in the courtesy sign to be sure. And so that's really a good idea. Otherwise, they may think, well, maybe it's an error. Maybe they meant to put in a natural and they didn't. You know, so put it, and then down here. Here, and then third line, it's here. They have a 5-2-1. If you have big hands and fat fingers, that doesn't work real well because it doesn't fit in here. You want to stay out here. And if that's the case, then you have to do a 5-3-2. Because the chord is actually that, total. D to D. And so that 5-3-2 is doable. But otherwise, the fingering in the book is fine. Just make sure you hold the notes down. And then on page 7, we're back to what we were doing before. Now, watch the fingering, it's a little different. See, when you started at first measure, it's 5-3-1. But when you get to the first measure of the next page, page 7, it's 4-2-1. Same notes. Well, the reason is because you came off of this. And that way, it's just easier not to use the 5 finger. It's just easier. Go ahead and use 4th finger. It's actually a chord, so here, and then you're going back to the 5-4-1. Here, there's an A in the chord, but you're not using it in the left hand. You'll get it in the right hand. And then back to here, and then here, rest, and then you're back to what you were doing before. At the bottom, last line, we're here. Next measure, and then the half notes at the end. They're saying 5-3. It's an F and an A flat. The F is tight. You're going to hold on to it. The A flat in the next measure goes to an A natural. It's not tight. And again, they give you a courtesy sign. By the way, this is an F, an A natural. So some people would misinterpret that one for sure, and they would tie both notes and then just stay on A flat all the way through. So this is good. They will think, well, they just forgot to put in the slur or the tie line, and they didn't. It's intentional. You're doing that. You don't have to do 5 and 3. You can do 4 and 2 if you want, and then a 1 on that. Up to you and your teacher how you finger it, whichever. I find 4 and 2 easier than 5-3. You ought to be able to do either one, but put the hands together. If you've worked them out carefully one hand at a time, this should be sort of doable. And when I play the D, the left hand comes up. And right now I'm still going to connect everything as best I can except for the rest. So again. There in the last measure, the first line, you got to get off because the right hand needs that note. You got to get off a little early because I want to connect the right hand here. So I got to get off so here. See, there's no rest in the left hand in any of this. I'm connecting all these as best I can. Rest. Both hands get a rest here. This is on page 7, first line next to the last measure. rest. Let's take a nice breath and then we go on. And we do it all again. And at the bottom, the last line, we're here. Here. So the last two measures, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. See, I'm holding the F's down all the way through. And then the middle voices are doing their thing. I actually got 4 voices going on here. And when you can get that all connected, smooth, and get rid of the hesitations. If you're hesitating someplace, work on those spots, because the beat, it's not a fast song, but it's got to be steady. Then we can put in the phrasing, the slurs. So we have these. Just lift up between each of these. Now the different arrangements will have this slurred differently. And once you get to know it and you've learned it the way it's written, if you feel the slurs differently, it's entirely up to you. Now in the second line in the left, those aren't slurred. That curved line, that's a tie for the bottom note. Those aren't slurred. So just play the whole line legato in the left hand. If you can. Best you can. Now here I'm lifting up here in the right hand. You have to lift up in the left hand here to change notes, but it's not like a, but it probably will come out that because you'll do both hands the same. So the third line. And again, the left hand, I'm connecting all of these. Best I can. So it's both hands. The top of page 7. Rest. Both hands come up for 1 beat rest. And then we do it again. So forth. That's pretty much to put in the phrasing mainly in the right hand. Then we can add the dynamics. Well, this is a gentle piece. Soft, and that's the melody. The dynamics apply to the melody. Everything else has to support it. That means they're in the background. So it's here. We want to hear the right hand. The idea, and you're staying basically soft, and you're not going to stay exactly soft. You're in the soft area. You can get a little louder as you feel it. You have to get to know it well enough that you can get into the music and start feeling the music. And if you feel it getting a little louder or softer, go with the flow. But just don't get really loud. This is not a loud piece. It's in the soft range. It'll put somebody to sleep. Listen, now you get to the end of the second line, you can come up a little bit to sort of soft. That's in the left hand, or the right hand. The left hand stays soft or softer. Really soft. Super duper, huh? So the last line there. And I tend to come down a little bit there at the top of page 7 and the 3rd and 4th measures. Tend to slow down a little bit, just come down. Now we're soft again in the right hand. The left hand's very soft. So forth, and then on the 3rd line, toward the end, it comes back up to, it's like you just did. And at the bottom, the last line, you're sort of soft here. Well, in the last two lines on page 7. We'll look at the last measure of that fourth line here. There's a crescendo there. Yeah, I wouldn't crescendo too much because you're already at moderately soft. So if you're going to do that, maybe you need to come down to soft so you got more room to crescendo. Otherwise, I wouldn't crescendo too much in here. You want to go up to moderately loud. Well, there's not a lot of difference between moderately soft and moderately loud. They're close. So, and you don't want to be moderately loud until the last two measures. That F. That's moderately loud. That's the only note that gets that moderately loud. Everything else is under it. So again, the last line, you're just... And there's a retardando. And all the time I'm doing this, I want to hear this. All the way through. Speed-wise, well, they don't give you speed. Rubato is not a speed. Rubato is a style. You slow up or you speed up and slow down. You feel it. And I would suggest you keep it all even until you feel it. If you don't feel anything, keep it even. But this... Page 6, second line, in the third measure you get a crescendo up to moderately loud, and then all of a sudden moderately soft. Well, the left hand stays really soft anyway. We're only talking right hand here. Then the same thing on page 7, and the third line down in the middle, there's a second measure. You have to feel it. So get to know it and you feel it. When you're first doing it, you force the dynamics, you get an idea. You can speed up a little, slow down there. Don't get too carried away with speeding up and slowing down because it comes across like, well, you don't really know what the rhythm is and you're not keeping a beat. So overall, the beat has to be felt. Whether you're slowing up or speeding down or not, the beat still has to be felt. So if you're speeding it up, then make sure you slow back down so the beat can catch up to you. So overall, it's better to play it just no rubato at all, beat, 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 than to do a rubato where you lose contact with the beat at all. I mean, it just sounds terrible. I used to actually play that way, it probably still do, and it just sounds terrible. Record yourself and you'll be able to tell, is your rubato really rubato, or does it sound like you just don't know what the rhythm is? Yeah, you have to be careful. I'd like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do the dynamics. I'm not going to do any rubato or slowing down or anything. We're going to do it with a metronome. So I'll give us 4 counts. Let's just try it together just to make sure we got the right notes and rhythms. 1, 2, ready, go. list.